have to continue to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host English News every morning.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome to the East West Show, a show talking about right or wrong, a show talking about truth, nothing but the truth, the naked truth, exclusively sponsored by Wolfers. A prominent life must be matched with the palace-grade jewelries. Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelries with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of master craftsmen, a testimony to the spectacular, a share of the royal glory. Wolfers, the palace-grade artistic jewelries, comes to the show. Right. Now, today with me is my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a special commentator. Of course, he himself is a director of the Hollywood, the eminent director of Hollywood, with a monument so high, 2021 films credit already. So, welcome to the show.
谢谢你老朋友, it's a pleasure, and Wolfers forever.
Thank you for saying that. I'll report to Wolfers.
Good.
Right, good. All right, now, the subject for today is talking about the three women of courage. We know that lately, three women of the Congress, United States Congress, women, of course, color, came into being, and they brought quite a controversial issue or issues. Lots of people talking about it. Lots of people having different views about the three women, wonderful women, to my eye. And we are sharing our views today, or his views or my views, if necessary, of these three women, wonderful women of courage today. With me, I will start with Chris. What have you done on research of the three women, please?
There's a lot of talk, Jack, in America about women's rights and equality. You know, there was the Me Too movement, there was the Time's Up moving, all of them trying to setting new standards in American society and morality. So the zeitgeist has already produced a dramatic political change in Congress. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, in 2019, three women of color and courage have appeared out of nowhere and are proof that in America, the will for rejuvenation and change of so-called society and moral standards is alive and well. And this is very encouraging because you may remember that even I am always critiquing the American society and government, etc. One thing is very encouraging, that in America there is always something unexpectedly happening, and it's always it's always part of evolving of America as a nation, and they have the capacity to change and get better. So this is very encouraging as far as I'm concerned.
When you say encouraging, though, I would like to share with you and also with my audiences that I'm quite excited when I heard the story about the three wonderful women. I'm going to say the following, correct me if I'm wrong, if you find anything, right? Before that, for the past 10 years, I'm not going to go back all the way to 2001 or of September 11th. I'm talking about for the past 10 years, things are getting worse and worse, from worse to worse. People are getting confused, and the visions are blurred, and it goes on and on and on and on, followed by the Me Too movement. Black life counts, right? Or white life counts, or whatever.
Many, yeah.
Well, whatever counts, all right? Until this very moment, though, the pop-up of the three women, brave women, right? they must be good. Each of them must have a huge groundwork of their constituents. Otherwise, they will not be elected, right? They spoke out. So that indication, to me, is that as a political system, it might go wrong sometime. As a society, however, though, human evolution will take care.
Yes.
Am I right?
You are right.
By reading the signals?
Yes, you're right. And you see, like, for example, the one, Rashida Tlaib, is an American-born Palestinian lawyer. She's American-born. Ilhan Omar is a Somali-American. Both of them are Muslim. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a Latina. All three of them in America are considered women of color.
All right.
First of all, it is amazing that they were elected at all.
Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah.
They must be good in the first place.
Because their controversial and provocative opinions are widely considered un-American, and being women of color certainly does not help them in this inherently racist land of the free and home of the brave.
I want to request a timeout a little bit, all right? We have Constitution, right? We have the freedom of, the right of freedom of speech, right? So whatever they say, the three women say, can they apply to their constitutional right of freedom of speech, rather than being criticized as going against the trend of America? Do you think that that comment itself, that controversy itself, tells you something unhealthy is going on?
Yes, because the country is deeply divided. As you said, over the last 10 years, the country has become more and more divided, and people are clueless. They want change, they don't know really what to change, and most of all, you see, the actual economy is not good, because people have to work very, very hard to feed their families. And when you go to the grocery store, you realize that prices have gone up constantly, and $100 is really not worth much if you have to feed a family, let's say a family
That I
of
know
three
better,
or four,
yeah. That I know better, yeah.
you know, and if you're on fixed incomes and so on. So the whole situation here is in flux, and in one way you hear these glorious reports, economy is great and no people out of work and all that. If you dig deeper and you check it out, you find that this is all very nice and looks very good, but it's done on purpose. It's propaganda.
I would love to make one more insert. While economically we're not doing quite all right, politically and conceptually, we are doing something more to confuse ourselves.
Right.
Right. The being politically right is a call that totally leaves the United States of nowhere, right? And also the overdone, I would say the overdone call for equality or equalization whatsoever for sexual orientations of different ways of is leading elsewhere, another direction, right? And about a week ago, I had one show with my friend Mark Ng of Orange County, founder and the CEO of the Asian Industrial B2B, right? He brought an issue that we started already teaching our kinders 3 years of age about sex definition, and sex activities. You can't even believe what they say in the textbooks. They say you are not a girl because your parents told you you're a girl. Neither are you a boy because your parents told a boy. You are neither a boy or a girl because they look at your part of your body to define you're a boy or girl. You're a boy or girl, you don't want to wait until later you discover you're a boy or girl. Does it lead anywhere?
No.
Does it lead anywhere? No. So with all this confusion around, I see as a twilight when these three women bravely, courageously walk out to say something that is different from the mainstream call.
Yes.
I give them a big hand.
A big hand. And you see, each of them has a subject matter which concerns themselves.
Let's take a short moment out. We come back, lay all the three, shall we,
Okay.
please? All right, good. All right, this show is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers. Wolfers, a testimony to the spectacular share of the royal glory. We will be right back.
Senator Diane
Everything
Sanders,
is
we have
expected
continued to
straight.
work
It's
on
like
it
the
now.
scenes on Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host English News here in Florida.
And a golden angel award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends. Hello, lovely audience. Welcome back to the East West Show, exclusively sponsored by Wolfers. Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated the brand of jewelries with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of the master craftsman, a testimony to the spectacular, a share of the royal glory. Back to the show. With my friend Chris Nebe, a special commentator, we're sharing with you something to feel excited about. All right, let me put it that way. That three women of Congress of the United States walk out to speak bravely and courageously. Well, might not be controversial, might be controversial, but we might not agree. So he and I, my dear friend Chris Nebe, are sharing our views with you, my audiences. Go back to my guest. So you want to lay
yes,
all the three?
Yes. As I said before, Rashida Tlaib is an American-born Palestinian lawyer. She has a family, she has children. And Rashida takes a firm step against the apartheid state of Israel and its Zionist rulers that for half a century have dehumanized Palestinians, her Palestinian countrymen, by operating the largest concentration camp of the world in the West Bank and Gaza. Just yesterday, there were 4 people shot again by the Israel army. Ilhan Omar is...
Hold right there.
Yeah.
Let me pause a little bit, all right? Do a little analysis with you. Right,
Yeah.
Good. Now, we understand in the history that the contradiction or problems in between Israel and the Palestinians has never been peaceful. Am I right?
Yes, because they have been oppressed.
Yeah.
And they have
never been peaceful. Now, I'm thinking in my wildest dream, with the reputation and the power of the United States, if we choose to walk in between, say, hey guys, stop fighting, all right? Let's shake hands, all right? And give everybody a share or something and call for peace. Would that be possible?
No, it has been tried, and by now the divide is so substantial, and also Israel doesn't want that. Because just now, America has even confirmed another land grab, namely it has legalized the annexation of the Golan Heights from Syria. So it continues, America is supporting Israel, which is wrong, and I don't want to, let's not get into this because this is very bad. And I don't want to get into this. Let's stay with the girls.
Okay.
Ilhan Omar is being condemned for her criticism of the behavior of AIPAC. I don't know if you know what AIPAC is.
AIPAC.
It's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. AIPAC, the American Israel...
AIPAC.
Yeah. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, a lobbying group that advocates pro-Israel policies to the Congress and the executive branch of the United States of America. Hundreds hundreds of millions of dollars donations to politicians have manifested the unholy alliance of the United States of America with the apartheid state Israel. Even though Israel is constantly condemned for human rights violations by United Nations, America ignores it and even puts the embassy to Jerusalem, etc., etc. A corrupt American mass media continues to praise the efforts of AIPAC, and anybody is verboten. Do you know the word verboten? That means it's not allowed to criticize Israel, a country that receives billions of taxpayers' dollars in aid from the United States of America. The Anglo-Zionist lobby, in collusion with the military-industrial complex and Wall Street, strongly support the Zionist cause, which is currently holding hostage millions of innocent Palestinians under brutal martial law, while steadily stealing more and more ancient lands in the West Bank to create illegal Israeli settlements. So the Anglo-Zionist lobby in Washington is now furiously trying to censor and silence Congresswoman Ilhan Omar for speaking the truth, because she has said only the truth. She merely spoke the truth of what we all can see clearly with our own eyes right in front in broad daylight when she said, look at what these highly organized Zionist operatives are doing. The furious reaction of these Zionists trying to destroy Ilhan Omar and to make it illegal for us to even acknowledge their existence is just unbelievable. Because you see, how low have we people fallen that these operatives of a tiny country
excuse me,
control so much, have so much power?
Just pause for 1 second, please.
Yeah.
Have you, during your study, by any chance, stopped for a moment to think why United States and Israel would choose that way versus the Palestinians that much?
My dear Jack, this is a huge other subject. We can talk about it. I can prepare this, but it's huge. Let's not get into this.
Let's
follow the money.
Yeah, I know. Now
follow the money and follow the oil.
But right now, I want to make an appointment with you.
Yeah.
That when you're ready sometime, I'll do my search.
Yes.
And my research, and you do yours.
Yes.
And we'll come together with another show talking about why the contradiction, the problems, the conflicts should be this much.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. Both Palestinian and Israel belong to the same origin.
No.
They belong to the same origin.
Their land.
Landwise.
Both.
Right.
And one party, namely the Israelis, have grabbed the other party's land instead of sharing it together.
All right. That's why I say landwise they belong to the same origin. Anyway, back to where you just stopped.
So now you can go to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who defends the millions of Hispanics who labor for minimum wages and as people of color have no voice. Now they have a voice that loud and clear states the unfair practices of the divide and rule system of people in color that exploits them and tens of millions of other people of color in the so-called land of the free and home of the brave. There's a voice all of a sudden. Finally, the voices of these three women of color and courage, echo across a deeply divided America. And millions are starting to listen and realize that by condemning these women, fascism is actually rearing its ugly face in America. You see? And this is very interesting, that that this discussion is going on. And this is the great thing in America, that they can have this discussion. And I do hope that this not ends in violence, because unfortunately in America there is a tendency of violence always. And I was at a demonstration because I stand for Ilhan Omar.
I'm not talking about a violence right away. I feel excited, and at the same time I'm getting worried.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen anyway, right? Versus this situation right now. Today with me is my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a special commentator. Our subject today is talking about the three brave women of Congress, they all colored, really making a twilight of United States, especially at this very moment when we are quite confused. Each of them stands for one issue, and each issue is the strongest issue of our major problem now. Let's take a short moment out. We'll be right back. This show is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers. Wolfers, a testimony to the spectacular and a share of the royal glory. We'll be right back.
Everything expected straight. It's like St. John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I'm host of this news.
And a golden angel award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the East-West Show, a show talking about right and wrong, the show talking about the truth, nothing but the truth, exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of the master craftsman, a testimony to the spectacular, a share of the royal glory. Wolfers, the palace-grade artistic jewelries. Back to the show. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Chris Nebe. Our subject today is women of courage. Right? Talking about the three congresswomen that stood up to represent what they believed right. Each of them represented our issue, a issue that is so important that the whole nation has to pay attention to because, quote unquote, controversial.
Yeah.
Right. So back to you.
You see, all of them, all three of them are our fellow citizens and are elected office holders. So we must support them against the political establishment in Washington that supports a system in which the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is very important.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's
and you
a
see,
fact.
we the people must stand up and let the corrupt establishment know that we the people are tired of the lies and non-stop propaganda. This is what we need to do, and therefore these women deserve our full support.
Let's get back to the third woman who talks about equal pay,
Yeah.
who talk about equal treat in between Hispanics and other people, the people of other races, right? Right now we're talking about a contradiction in between. We really play a very dirty game right now. We're talking about low pay, the lowest pay to the Hispanic workers, and even among them, the lowest among them was the one they pay for the quote-unquote illegal immigrants, right? Of course they are illegal. They got to pay some kind of fine sometime in some way. Fact is that they get less than they work for.
Right.
Right. That is unfair. Is she speaking of that part of folks?
She's speaking. Of course, there are different situations, but in general, in America, people of color make less money than people of not color. So,
and then there are jobs that white would not do.
that's it. That's it. You're right. And you see, because they do these jobs, and they also have no power because they are illegal, so they get cash and so on. It's all very complicated. It's not only this, it's the general situation that there is a very clever system here by the rulers of this country. They divide and rule. And they have this people of color thing. You're one of them, by the way.
I'm, well,
you know,
I'm some kind of color.
And when you ask a Chinese, when I ask my Chinese friends if they do experience this divide, they agree. And all of them have had experiences which clearly are subject to what is happening here. And this is the way of ruling, because you see, every country has its way of ruling the masses, because basically people like to be ruled.
Yeah. I would like to hang on here for a little bit, right? To lots of folks, they think or they believe the division or the separation or the discrimination are gone, right? Partially they are right because the law says you can't do it.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And partially they are wrong because actually they are doing it everywhere.
Yes.
Last time, me, Sam, and William, the three of us. You know each of them, right?
Yes, of course.
William, Sam, who is Li Chong, the three of us.
Yeah.
End up in the restaurant. I hate to mention the name of the restaurant, a very famous American food restaurant, right? We got there, I forgot the specific time, but I did know the time because I was using the cell phone. The cell phone has the time. I did take a look at the time. We sat there, waited until 10 minutes later, somebody sat to the next box. Right? They were about 15 minutes later than us. And we waited until the next box started to be served. We did not even have anybody come to ask. We were just there ourselves. Not in a coffee, not an ice water, no nothing. No nothing. And I asked one of the waiter says, I don't know. I'm just in charge of the other section. And your section, I don't know. So I had to ask for the manager. The manager came, right? And I argued with him. He said that they were before us. We were later. And I showed them the time record. Well, what's the war? Goes on and on and on and on. It's a long story. I, for the first time, felt I'm discriminated just for this kind of face.
Yeah.
I never thought that way. I never thought that way. All right? I give you another example. Last time, 3-4 years ago, it was a big event hosted by one of the big banks who were our sponsors for our other events. Right? So I was dispatched there to cover that thing along with two of our crew. We were told when taking pictures, you must do it one direction to one wall because there is a banner. The banner has the company that contracts with the sponsor with their logo on it, right? With their logo on it. In other words, when you shoot, you're going to shoot the logo. Okay? Of course, there's a rule everybody has to follow. And pretty soon I noticed Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 11, Channel 13, Channel 7. Yeah, did I say 7? They all had a freedom going around everywhere they want to shoot. And just us, the Chinese media, the Chinese American media, were restricted to shoot to the banner only.
Perfect examples.
All right. And then I pick up one of the players. That was a tennis show, tennis tournament. I started a conversation with her and started shooting face to face. There's no banner behind. And there came a guy, a tall guy, says, "Told you can't shoot that way. Shoot against the other wall." I said, who told me? I told you. I said, who are you? Who are you? I'm in charge. I said, I told him, I'm in charge here. I'm in charge too, right? And it started the whole thing until I brought it to the point. Why can't everybody else do it? Why cannot I? Is it because my face?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any other explanation except that? So that everything get together, everybody get together, and there was a huge crowd that I created.
Now you see, this is a perfect example because, and you are a person of power.
I'm not faking it. I'm not faking it. It's my personal experiences.
In the restaurant, you're a customer. And if it's an expensive restaurant, you're a well-paying customer. There, you are a person of power because you're a media person. And you see, even that.
At both events, we were discriminated.
Yes. And you see, this does not prevent you from discrimination. How do you think a poor Hispanic
and then
cleaner?
I told him that I'm a reporter. Yeah. I do only news. What is news? You, the one who discriminated me, just because I have a wrong face, is my news. Now I take a picture of you.
Okay, but you see, you're a person of power in this situation now. Can you expect how a poor Hispanic, maybe even undocumented laborer feels? He has no rights whatsoever.
Yes.
He's being treated like a piece of shit.
Yeah. I, with a camera in hand,
yes.
I chased the guy around the hall for several rounds, circles. And people follow us. And Channel 7, Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 11, Channel 13, all following us.
Okay, you see.
I make a big shot of that day. This show is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers. Wolfers, a testimony to the spectacular and a share of the royal glory. We'll be right back.
Everything expected to straight. It's like the scenes on waves.
My name is Paul James. I host English News.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome back to the East West Show, a show talking about right and wrong, show talking about truth, nothing but the truth. That is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers. Wolfers, the Belgium royal family designated brand of jewelries with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of the master craftsman, testimony to the spectacular share of the royal family. So, back to the show. With me today is my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a special commentator, a wonderful director of Hollywood, and we're on the subject talking about the three women of courage at Congress. So back to you. I'm sorry for the insertion that was too long.
That's a very good example on a completely different level, especially if you think about your position and compared to a laborer, Hispanic laborer, who doesn't even speak correct English.
I got my way of fighting back. They don't.
They don't. But you see, what we have to learn, and what we have to learn whether we like it or not, because this is the future. And I must compliment the Chinese philosophers, Lao Tzu, who always has this basic concept of.
I have a card from the restaurant. Oh, I can't show the card.
No.
Showing the card tells the restaurant, right?
Okay, let's not interrupt.
Go ahead.
You see, Lao Tzu very clearly always promotes the concept of win-win situation in peace and harmony. And this is why the Chinese, even in their political situation, when you look at them today, are doing much better than the Western people, because we have to learn this, and this is something we need to do. It does not mean if I'm against established Christianity that I'm an unbeliever or that I'm a heretic. If I'm against Zionism, that does not mean I'm an anti-Semite. If I'm against religion-based terrorism, I'm not an anti-Islamist. You see, we must learn to coexist and create win-win situations in peace and harmony, because America was built on the promise, on that noble promise as inscribed at the Statue of Liberty, under the feet of the Statue of Liberty, where you can see a broken chain. Give me your tired, your poor and huddled masses who are trying to yearn for freedom, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send the homeless, tempest-torn to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Yeah.
You see, we the people must revive this noble spirit of America, a country of freedom of speech, where everybody is welcome, everybody, to enjoy the unique opportunity to create the American dream for themselves. And that's what they're doing.
What makes me happy is that even though as a political system it might go off course for some time, but as a society, evolution does the job.
That's it.
Right? Evolution does the job.
Yes.
For example, if you're too dry, well, Mother Nature might give you some kind of rain. If you have too much rain, Mother Nature will dry it up. Things like that, right? Now, we're talking about, it was about 2 weeks ago, I had an interview with a friend of mine here talking about the shooting of the Islamic temple, right? Okay. And at the discussion, we made one point clear. Why are we so good at giving labels to people? Anti-Islamic, anti-Christian, anti-on and so forth, and so on and so forth. We are, if I quote from you, we are earthlings who should depend each other.
Yeah.
Who should understand that we coexist.
Correct.
Right? We support each other, we coexist. As long as you understand the coexistence, that takes care of the Palestinian problems, that takes care of the equal pay problems, that takes care of anti-Muslim problems.
And anti-Semitic problems.
Anti-Semitic problems. So everything can be taken care of by emphasizing on the coexistence philosophy. Why wouldn't our government, which is so strong, which is nowhere for not being powerful, do something? We don't see anything they do. And on the other hand, we label everything. So it comes to a retaliation, revenge, and re-revenge, and re-revenge. Things are getting worse and worse and worse.
And in the end, somebody pulls the gun.
Yeah, that's it. Killing happens.
Yeah.
Right? Killing happens at a certain point, though. So that is the tragedy of today. My dear friends, I would say that I'm so happy at the time when the government or the system or political system goes off the course for some time, for some reason. Evolution, as a society, evolution takes care of it.
Yeah, represented, for example, by these three women of color and of courage, of tremendous courage. Because if you look at the media, how they treat their comments, it's awful. It's awful. And I really fear for the life of these women, especially for Ilhan Omar, because I was at a demonstration.
She is a Somalian
Muslim. And I was at a demonstration recently when she had a meeting here in a hotel in Woodland Hills, and it was awful, the way the aggression and awful, totally unnecessary and totally unjust, because she said just the perfect, she spoke the truth. And most people do not know the truth, and then there is no other body telling them the truth. We do this today because I'm sure that some of your audience were not aware how courageous these three women are.
And I believe the fact that the three courageous women walk out courageously to stand tall would be a lead factor that somebody else will follow.
Yeah.
There's going to be more.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
There's going to be more.
Because there's always people who will listen to reason and to, people are actually inherently good. They're not bad. But they are so stressed out with their daily lives that they don't have the luxury of reflecting and thinking, oh, maybe this person who says something which is very uncomfortable, maybe they're right.
But the mainstream media is not helping. That's the problem.
That's
right.
because, again, follow the money, because the mainstream media is paid or supported by exactly those forces.
Okay, my dear audience, we're over time. My
again.
dear friend, we're over time. Well, we're going to have to stop right here. Thank you for watching this show, exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, a Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelries with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of the master craftsman. A spectacular to the testimony to the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. So we'll see you until next time.